slot. So we'll have 2 rounds of 5 questions, and I will follow strictly the order of the inscription of the applicants. Starting with Jeremy Zimmerman, coming from the La Quadrature du Net. C'est le nom de l'organisation. Okay,
Thank you.
1 minute, the floor is yours. Where are you?
Thank you. Acta, the policy-making trend it sets, and as a precedent, is not and will never be legitimate. For important issues, as fundamental freedoms online, shall be debated democratically and not negotiated. But beyond that, it's the whole copyright regime that is facing a legitimacy crisis that will only be solved by a profound reform where copyright will undergo the social practices, acknowledge the social practices and actions done not for profit will be made legal. Mr. De Gucht, while trying to buy time, you're not only protecting yourself, diffusing the political debate, but spreading an ideology. When you say that copying is theft, it's the same ideology that is pushed by those industries that damages freedoms, an open internet, culture, and society at large.
Next question, Magda Zena from the Institute Tiziano. Where are you?
Here.
1 minute.
Okay, so I'm not an expert in logic, but in law, but I'm expert in logic. So seeing that the commissioner concludes that one of the experts thinks that Acta will change everything, the whole universe, and the second expert thinks it doesn't change anything, and then getting the response that they don't think what the commissioner understood, I think that basing on the document that is so logically incoherent, you can get any conclusion. So my question is, do we really need the law, this law, I mean Acta or anything else, which is so logically incoherent? So we have so different, strange, contradictory interpretations. That's the first question. And the second question is that I don't understand what is the commercial use, because today you can make millions of dollars out of one picture, one song, and you can invest a lot of money in the company and lose all. So it's difficult to understand what is exactly the commercial use.
Thank you. Next question, Gregory Debontrider, no organization indicated. Where are you? 1 minute.
Voilà, ma question est pour Monsieur De Gucht.
My question goes to Mr. De Gucht. You're here above all to represent the citizens' interest, but you're imposing Acta. You're not really convincing anybody. It's well conceived by way of convincing citizens. Just say we're wrong. Maybe that would be squarer, and say Acta is the only way of combating counterfeiting. It's unacceptable, but already strongly legislated in Europe. Tell us it's going to give some sort of extra in Europe, but it'll be to the detriment of the interests of citizens and help lobbies. Really, have you helped citizens in this legislation? That's my question. Wouldn't it be a better idea to start harmonizing Europe before harmonizing the world?
Merci. Melissa Richard, La Quadrature du Net. Where are you?
Oui.
1 minute.
Bonjour. Hello. I'd like to speak to you on my own behalf rather than on behalf of my organisation. I just wanted to inform you of my anger. Mr. De Gucht, you began by saying that people in the streets against Acta won't frighten you, and then you said that European citizens are victims of misinformation. So I'd like to ask you, whose fault is that? You are the one who is practicing misinformation. We've seen that all week. I was in the European Parliament all week. I saw that. You said that copying is theft. That's not true. It's not true legally or technically. I came here to the European Parliament to address the members whom we elected and address their responsibilities. you're representing us. And that's why I'd like to ask you to act beyond words by rejecting Acta very quickly and then carrying out a deep reform of copyright. Thank you.
Finally, in this first round, Aurélien Mirel, I leave to you to indicate your organization if you wish to do so.
Oui, bonjour.
Well, good afternoon. I'm part of an association called Telecomics. In particular, we fought to keep internet connections open and secure during the spring revolutions in Tunisia, Syria, and throughout the Arab world. And in particular, we've noted to what extent non-monitored, non-censored internet is a crucial tool for implementing and maintaining democracy, and also to ensure safety of people when they express their own personal opinions. By encouraging surveillance and data retention, particularly if people are suspected for illegal downloading, for example, I think if we do that, it's a huge risk for society and also for democracy. It's a danger for democracy. Thank you.
Well, since a number of the questions were not questions, I'll give the floor to the speakers to comment on the comments and reply to the questions. Maybe 3 minutes will do. Commissioner.
Thank you, Chairman. Of course, these are more statements, and I welcome them. I don't know whether I'm spreading an ideology. In any case, I have the feeling that a number of people that made an intervention are also spreading their ideology, and I have no problem with it. The question whether we should continue with a treaty that is interpreted in contradictory ways by several people, if that would be the criterion, then we would never manage to make a treaty, because as soon as you have a text, there are so many lawyers, so many politicians that inevitably you get to contradictory interpretations. It's up to the Parliament to make its choice and vote upon. I'm not saying that the demonstrations don't have an impact on me, but what I'm saying, and I will continue to say that, is that this is not the only way to do politics. Of course, there can be demonstrations in the street, and that's you could even call it a way of direct democracy. But this Parliament is an institution based on representative democracy. That's why a number of people have been elected and why they have the right and the sovereignty to take decisions. That's the emanation of the representative democracy, and well, I pay due respect to the representative democracy. What I don't like, but I mean, I have understanding of it, is that you say, Madam, that I'm spreading disinformation. I try to give answers to the questions that are put to me on the basis of the text and on the basis of the jurisprudence of the Court of Justice and the substantive law. That's what I'm trying to do. Whether I convince you or not, that's something else, but I certainly do not deliberately try to disinform anybody. The last question is, in fact, I believe, the most interesting one, the most interesting remark. Is it not going to limit the role, for example, of Internet in movements like the Arab Spring? I mean, where you need the Internet to spread information, to get films and recordings and pictures spreading around the world. No, it isn't, because when the rulers in that kind of country decide to block the Internet in one way or another, they are not reading Acta, whether they can do it on the basis of an article in Acta. They don't even read their own legislation. They simply do it. So that's a completely different discussion. Of course I'm against that, completely against that. But that's not on the basis of Acta. That's on the basis that they are dictators and that they want to stop spreading information. That's what they are doing, and I hope that you realize that.
Dr. Geist, 3 minutes.
Okay, I mean, I didn't hear a question, but I guess I'll just offer up a comment. And that is, I've heard now, over the day or so now that I've been here, a number of attempts to suggest that the anger that is clearly palpable, I mean, you can feel it in the room and you can see it obviously in the news reports in the streets, is by and large the product of a lot of misinformation, people not reading the treaty or being misinformed about its implications. I actually would argue that the seeds that sowed all of this can be traced back, frankly, to the negotiations from the very beginning, which were kept completely non-transparent, and as I mentioned, particularly in comparison to virtually any other open forum. The issues from a substantive perspective could have been far better addressed. The distrust could have been far better addressed. And so from my perspective, if anything, if you're a parliamentarian sitting there looking at this agreement, frankly, even if you were convinced that it doesn't cause a significant amount of harm, the negotiation process itself